Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Alan, and tonight we're in the shop with Front Page Fab, and I'm gonna wire in these two fans. So, as I mentioned in the prior video, I'm gonna use these weather pack connectors. I keep a kit, keep plenty in stock, along with all my wires and different colors, etc. Tonight I'm using this particular fan is blue and black, and I just happen to have some 14 gauge blue and black, so that's what we're going to use for both, because that's what I'm out of red 14 gauge, so I got to pick that up. But anyway, so what I did on this fan, I ended up having to cut a little bit of the sheathing back just so I could expose a little more wire, and then I took a crimper. I use this one when I have the space, but you can certainly use just a good old crimper like this. This for these weather packs, you'll notice that the terminals are what they call I've always called them an E-crimp, just because of the shape of this right here. It makes it look like an E, and then when this is done, it kind of looks like an E as well, sort of loosely. And so these are Essex terminal crimpers I've had for more years than I want to admit to. But they have this E-crimp or F-crimp, whatever they want to call them. And it also has a butt crimp, or a crimp for just regular splices, and then a cutter, also a wire stripper. I've used this wire stripper for, again, more years than I want to admit to. But since I bought that other style, I really like it. It's a little easier to use whenever possible. So what I've done is I've went ahead and I stripped these back, and I need male and female. So also, since these are weather pack, weather meaning, you know, it's supposed to be waterproof. So since this is 14 gauge wire, I'm using a blue insulator. There is also red and green, depending on what wire size you're using. If you notice, I don't know if you can see that. See that hole there? Then there's this hole, and then this is the blue. You can see the difference in diameter for different size wires. So I'm using the blue on my 14 gauge wires, and basically what I do is I strip back just what I need to get into the crimp. I'm gonna go ahead and do males, and what I mean by to get into the crimp, if you look here on this terminal, let's see if I can show it. Let's see, can we zoom in on that, focus it? All right, so this is what you're going to crimp for the wire, and this up here is the insulation crimp. It's going to go around that that blue insulator. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Let me do one here, and what I do is, you just, since I've got it all staged, you just lay that right like so. Just gonna lay that on there like so. Hopefully one of these cameras will catch it. And by the way, that insulation there, I just put it right back to the flush with the end of the wire insulation. That's what I do there. And then I lay that in there, and then I take my crimper. First thing I do is I crimp the wire down. I get that staked. And sometimes I have butterfingers and I don't get things quite right. All right, let's try that again. There we go. All right, so now that is crimped, and hopefully you can see that right there. The wires are crimped. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got to kind of squeeze this outer one together just a little bit, and then I take my biggest crimp, which is this one right here, and I roll it over, use that to kind of roll the ends to get it started, and then I flip over and I go to the middle crimp, and just lightly crimp it. It don't take a heavy crimp. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with this other one, doing just everything exactly what I just described. I tuck that other wire out of my way. So I've got that crimped on. Do a little squeeze to close those in. Use the big one to get it started. And then we finish it with the middle one. I've just found that works best and typically doesn't want to break these tabs off. Sometimes if you go straight to the middle one, when it tries to roll it, it'll actually break them off. So I've just found if I use this big crimp right here, and then I switch to the middle one to finish the E crimp, it works well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a, make sure I got, that's for the female, and this is for the male. This is the male housing. So you notice it just lays like that. So there's a little cover here that snaps, and basically you just got to pry it off the tabs. And sometimes they can be a little persnickety. So you got to get a pry tool, which I did not grab. Just to get the, so what I'm doing is I've got one side off right there, and I'm holding that with my thumb. Otherwise, as soon as I start on this one, it's going to want to close again. So I hold that with my thumb, I pop that, and then it just lays that open just like that. Okay? So now, all you got to do now is just stick them in, and there's little lock tangs right here, and we're just going to stick them in there. It just sticks in, you push it all the way in until it's seated. And then I give them a tug, make sure they're seated. And then all you gotta do is just take this till you hear it click, both sides click. That is in, it's done. And it's a nice, it's weatherproof on the back side and the front side, which we'll use for the female connectors. You can see it has a seal here. So whenever I stick this in and stick it together, that forms a weatherproof connection here, and then on both ends as well as weatherproof. So we got that one done. So now we're going to do the others, and I got to do the same thing on this other one. So I already cut me some wire. I already have the wiring harness here from the old fans. I'm just a little short on my length, I think. Let me just quick double check that. Oh, you know what? By the time I put the connectors on there, we're going to be just fine and dandy. Cool. All right, so I'm not going to need this wire here that I cut. But I do want to check the polarity of the motor. So I was wanting to go to the battery and just make me something so I could test this. So I will go ahead and just see if I can make something up. I hate to waste a connect. Oh no, that's a female. I got one. I don't even have to make it. Yeah, perfect. This will work just fine. It's going to let me test the polarity on the motor. So what I'm doing is, what I'm assuming, since I'm going to make this a pusher, I want to use black as my positive and blue as my negative. So what I'm going to do, stick that in there. So now I've just made a connection. So orange is blue and black is black. So I'm going to go and do my tape here so I can test this. Which you get sometimes for doing too good of a tape job. I kind of learned how to tape these so that it kind of forms a good watertight connection on the ends where the sleeve ends there, and from years ago when I worked for a wiring harness manufacturer. All right, so black I think is going to be positive and orange is going to be negative. So what I'm going to do, unfortunately though, I can't hold both wires and feel it, so I am going to see how that's oriented. You want the narrow part up towards the bare wire. That is proper orientation. All right. So I stripped it, get my stuff ready here. I've got my terminal. Now I'm going to do the wire crimp first. And you'll notice on here, I know I'm probably going to spark a debate, but because there's already a big debate out there on the internet, but I do not solder. You will not find a solder joint on this truck. And the reason for that is I have experimented with it over in the past, and what I have found is with vibration, the solder joint itself holds. It never has failed. What fails is where the solder ends and the copper begins. It forms a brittle joint right there, and it has always failed right there. So I don't solder. There was a forum at the performance racing industry trade show a few years back, and they had a wiring panel of experts on wiring. And I was fortunate enough to sit in on that class. I was not the expert. I was just out there in the audience. And I asked that question because I know that it is a big debate. And I think there was 4 or 5 experts in the field, and all agreed unanimously there's really no place for solder on a car. And that's probably why, if you'll notice, none of the OEMs solder their joints other than if it's on a printed circuit board. Or not even diodes and stuff that I have ever seen. Maybe on the newer stuff that's different. I've not seen it on any of the stuff I have worked on. So anyway, that's why if somebody's going to ask, that's why you're not going to see me solder this. So it has caused me problems in the past. All right, we need a male housing. And so you notice up here I have a kit that I use, and I think I got that kit originally from Summit Racing, and if it's still out there, I'll submit a link or put a link in the description on this video for it, for you to look at. But and then what I have done since then, I bought the basic kit that you see there, and then I started buying all of my wire bulk. I don't buy it from AutoZone or nothing like that. I buy usually 100-foot rolls, sometimes 250s, just depends. And yeah, and then that's what I do to get it going. That's how I had this loose wire right here that all came off of a 100-foot spool. Most guys don't need that, but I do enough wiring projects for other people that I feel the need for that. All right, so I already have these wires here, and now I'm going to put females on. If you notice on the fans themselves, I put males with a male housing. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hopefully you can. So now I'm going to put females on this side. And again, I am working with 14 gauge wire. Okay, got them stripped. This is the only time you can strip and not get in trouble for it, the wire. Okay, notice I put them on there flush, like so. I got both of them ready to go. So now I'm going to get my female terminals. And we're going to crimp them bad boys on. Same thing as the male, same procedure. Now I'm sure somebody out there is going to tell me I did something wrong, but whatever. I've been doing it this way for over 35 years, and I've never had a failure. So this is how they taught us to do it when I worked for the wiring harness manufacturer. We made harnesses for Case IH. We even did reproduction harnesses for Camaros, Corvettes, all that from the 50s, 60s eras. So, and this was all OEM standards. All right, so that's done. So now, do the same thing. I got to get my little shield open here. These are a little harder because they're shorter, but procedure's just the same. Flip them open, pop the tabs, flip them open. All right, now, what I got to do, I got to double check here. So I am going to go black is positive, red is negative on this one. So I have blue is positive, black is negative here. So I want blue into red, or no, I'm sorry, I want blue into black and black into blue. That's how we're doing this. So I'm pretty sure, and you know what, I better double check myself before. Always double check, guys. I mean, it just doesn't pay to do it any other way. Now, with these connectors, it is pretty easy to pop these open and redo them, switch them over, but why do that if you don't have to? All right. Same thing. In this case, I have black to black. Okay. So I believe I want orange to ground. Whoops, that didn't work so well for me. All right, try again. Orange to ground, black. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's moving a lot more air than that old one was. And that is correct, so now I have confirmed that it is the way I want it. Again, I'm wiring this up as a polar, or I'm sorry, as a pusher, not a polar. So we're going to wire this, and I don't know if I can get camera in there and have it focus or not. I will try. There. Okay, so as you can see, I have the 2 wires. Got my female. So what I'm going to do is, this is just what I do. I go ahead and insert the connector loosely into the other housing. Red is on the bottom on that side, so I want that to be black. And I just double check myself. Yep, okay. So if I do this right, it is going to be wired correctamundo. Yep, we are golden. All right. All right, so we have that in. So that's fan 1, and I actually have that going up to a 30 amp fuse in the fuse box. I'm hoping with this new fan, they claim it only draws 10 amps, that I'll be able to drop the fuse size down on that. All right, so I apologize, I did not get some of this filmed, but battery died, so I had to get it charged up. So what I did is I went ahead, and I think we pulled the wires through, kind of got I just got to finish tie wrapping this, and then I just connected into the relay that I already had for fan 2, and then I put an abrasion proof abrasion proof jacket over the wires. Ran that from the connector all the way up to here, and I went ahead and got hooked into the relay and hooked into ground. So that should take care of that. Now I'm just ready to put the grill on and take it down off the jack stands. So that's what we're going to do next. I usually just kind of snug them till I get them all in place, and then I just go back and give them a final tighten. Okay, same thing on the other side. Normally this is all one piece, but mine's broke and it works, so I haven't felt the need to replace it until when I replace the grill, I'll replace all this. And what do you think? Should I murder it out, get rid of all this chrome, black bumper, all that, which bumper I could probably paint. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Paint, get new black this out. New grill all black. Because I'm thinking a new emblem, because that one's kind of peeling chrome. Leave that chrome and then black out the rest of this. What do you think? Give me a comment. Let me know what you think, guys. Okay, that's it. Front's buttoned up, the fans are in, wired up. About ready to take it down off the jack stands. I just need to get a light and check my antifreeze. See where we're at, see if it's going to take the rest of this, what's left of this jug, or yeah, I think it'll take. I don't have much left in this jug. Let's see what she takes. So I do know I'll have to burp the air out of it. close. All right, I think we're going to call that good. Now I just need to top off the overflow because it is a smidge low. All right. That takes all my antifreeze. So if I have to add more, I'm going to have to get another jug. I use Prestone 50/50 on that, in case anybody's wondering. It's universal. Seems like when I went into AutoZone, everything was pretty much universal. Well, they had stuff for the newer brands, Ford, GM, Chrysler, and then everything else was universal. So, all right, I'm going to get this dude down off the jack stands and fire it up and back it out of the shop. It's raining outside, so I'll let the rain wash some of this crud off. Peace.